Hey guys, and welcome to another First Impressions video. Today we're going to be looking at North Atlantic Fishing, or as the logo kind of states, Fishing North Atlantic. This is a fishing simulation game where you take different boats out with different fishing equipment and try to catch different fish of different types, bringing in an income and growing your business from the start. The premise is that you start with your uncle's boat and go from there. This game has a lot of potential, however, I can see the tutorial alone and the finicky controls really putting people off. This is a problem which I hope that they can have a look at and maybe change some things. But for this video, we will do what we always do. We'll go through the options, have a look, see what it's got on offer, and then we'll go into the actual gameplay and see what it's all about. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Here we are in the options menu then. Now, this is something that I really like about most simulation games. They actually give you a lot of choice and a lot of things to change because you are simulating a real life scenario. This includes which metrics that you prefer. It includes, the don't show this dialogue again, your analytics, your Paw Patrol. They've got everything. They've got a decent radio station, simulator radio, which is obviously used for a lot of simulation games. Like it's quite an up and coming radio station, which is really cool. The thing that I don't like about these menus is that they use sliders to change different things. It would be better if they just changed this to a drop down menu. I don't understand the choice with sliders, especially when you're going into like more complicated menus, like your video graphics and stuff. The audio, it's fine, and I do like the fact that they actually put the music down to 50% straight away. More games need to do this. Please. Don't deafen your users by making the volume overly loud when you first start in. I would rather a game be low volume that you can turn up, opposed to loud volume that you can't actually access until the game has started. So I'm glad to see that this is the default setting. Your video options, like I say, it uses these horrible sliders, and I don't like it. Like, why do you need a slider for display? You don't. I do like the fact they've got windowed full screen mode, and that is actually the default as well, which is really nice to see. If you've got a HDR monitor, you can put HDR on. You've got your video mode. You can put VSync on. You can even run a benchmark, which is really nice. You've got your resolution scale. Planar reflections. I don't even know what those are. Your view distance, which is really nice because you do have obviously a lot of scenery when you're out and you want to be able to see quite far away. Your different effects, they go to epic and ultra. Again, all using sliders. Your bloom, your gamma, and your brightness. That's pretty much your lot. Your camera, you can change your sensitivity, which is really nice. Your gamepad. I haven't actually put the gamepad on with this. You don't need it. Keyboard and mouse works just fine. And then your key bindings are all here as well. They do look like you can rebind them, which is nice. You've got lots and lots of different views that you go through and lots of different things. And then your credits, which is, a nice little feature. Gives the developers some credits where it's due. And they're your options menus. Not too bad. Pretty good. Pretty expansive menu, I do say so myself. Pretty good. How about some gameplay? Now, this is your ship. This is the first ship you start with. It's called the Mickey, and it is geared for harpooning, so you go out and harpoon like swordfish. When you're in your dock, which is there, we'll show you what you get. I love the little animation of the motor going into the water as well. That's really quite cool. It runs very smooth. It runs really very smooth indeed. You do take hull damage as well, so the more hull damage you take, the worse it is, and the more money you've got to spend to repair it. Generally, hitting things is kind of bad. And then once you're at your dock, you have a number of options. You've got your general, which means you can sort the weather out, skip time, look at your map. fish market, which is where you can shop and sort your prices out for what fish you've got, so you can work out really which dock you want to go to once you've done the mission that you've done. You got your town where you can hire crew, go to the bank and get a loan if you want to expand your service quickly. You've got the bar, which is where you get your tips and your missions from, which is kind of cool. And then your services, which is like your insurance and rescue service if you do Don Goof. Your dock, which is where you look at your maintenance, your upgrades. They've actually got quite a few upgrades for your ship as well, which is really nice, including storage engine, your autopilot settings, which is really kind of awesome. Your shipyard, which is where you can buy new ships. They don't actually have that many different ships, but then with all the upgrades that you get, you don't really need a huge array of ships, because you can do so much with each of these. I do like the fact that you can actually look at and zoom in on the ship and stuff and see what it looks like. It's kind of cool. Obviously, owning one of these big grab boys is the dream. You probably end up buying a Borge next after you've bought your after you've got your little Mickey going off. And then you're at your shipyard and your rigging. Your rigging is just showing you what different functions that your ship can actually do. So we've got harpoon right now, $15,000. We've got 2,400 because I've upgraded my engines on this ship a little bit to make it a bit quicker, because doing the tutorial was a little bit painful. But that is your dockyard, which is kind of cool. And like I say, we go off and we're going to hunt. We've got a delivery mission that I've taken, and go here, scroll up, you can see that we have to go all the way up here. Now, it does have a fast travel system, but like most simulation games that I've ever played, you have to actually visit the place that you're fast traveling to first before you can just quick travel later. That can be a bit of a pain. Even with this new engine, which is the top engine I can get for this ship, I'm still only going like 10 knots, which is not very fast at all. And it does take a while. Now, I said earlier as well that I've got a few issues with the tutorial. And the ship controls in general are a bit naff. What I mean by a bit naff is that the tutorial gives you the very basics whilst also missing the very basics. There aren't a lot of tooltips on the game, and the tooltips that do come up when you're in first person, they're not ideal. They're very hard to see. There's no sound notification to say that they've come up or anything. And the ship, or the tutorial gives you very basic, very vague instructions. So it'll be like you have to go downstairs and go onto the front of the deck, but it won't tell you how you get onto the front of the deck, so you have to spend half an hour rummaging around trying to find out how you get to that point. Right, you've got to figure out how you actually enable yourself to get to the front of the deck, and it took me a good half an hour to figure out where to go for that. Not ideal when you're trying to play a game and you're in the tutorial. The other issue is that the aiming of the harpoon was made much more difficult by the sheer fact that you only get a very limited time to aim, and the fact that the boat had a really nasty, very, very nasty habit of going backwards. Like, you can't anchor. you can't anchor. It don't work. It don't anchor. Or it does anchor and I've just done it wrong. But again, the tutorial doesn't explain anything about anchoring. It just, like, you stop the ship and then you're there. Problem with that is that you will travel backwards or forwards depending on the wind and the waves, which means you're sat trying to catch some sharks and your boat's constantly moving backwards. That is the most incredibly frustrating thing in the world, when your default position, or was my default position, was up here. So every time I'd go to first person mode, I'd have to leave the mast, go down, and then go to the front of the ship. and by the time I'd done that, the ship had already moved backwards. It was really very frustrating. What would be nice as a quality of life upgrade would be to just simply say, you know, set your default position in the front of the cabin or up top, and that way it would make life much easier. Also, having an anchor that makes sense and works was really, really good. Other than that, it's a really fun, chill game. Like, if they just redid the tutorial so it actually made sense and told you a bit more of what was going on and made it a bit more clear what was going on, that'd be really good. Because, like I say, it gives you instruction, but it doesn't tell you how to do that instruction. And a good tutorial for a game that can be quite as complex as most simulation games are, and this one is a little bit simpler, but still requires some know-how of where everything is on the ship. As opposed to it just coming up in the bottom left-hand corner. I'll show you. If we go to first person, you see how it's in the bottom left-hand corner with nothing. When you're trying to do something, and you're focusing on what you're doing around you because it can take a while, it's not the best to have it where it was. I think I've also crashed. So yeah, it would be nice to maybe have points like Forza do there into the car points very well, where it comes up with a little circle and you can tell that that is somewhere that you need to be going, or that is something that does something, opposed to just kind of letting you kind of have to find it on your own, which isn't the best. I've not really done anything other than the spearfishing so far, the harpoon, but the water effects are really good. Like, graphically it's very, very pretty. They've done a really good job on that. The ship looks incredible. There's rust and stuff all over. Your man, you actually can see your man, which is rare for a lot of like simulation games. I know the ETS2 is really bad for this, where it'll not show you the man when you're in the driving seat. It kind of takes away from that simulation aspect, which is a bit of a shame. Your little HUD menu down here is kind of cool. You've got all your lights that you can put on, that if you swim at night. Got your little radar here. You've got your space remaining, and you've got your gear if you've got any gear on there as well. So it's really kind of cool. Like, there is a lot. You've got your logbook, which can show you all of your journal things and the sales you've made, which is kind of cool. You've got your wiki here, which tells you pretty much everything you need to know. But again, the tutorial should really cover this, and then your finances. So you can see just how much shite you're in, and then your missions. So overall, it's a very well fleshed out game that isn't too complicated to pick up, except for when it is, and that is my biggest issue. Also, with the fact that, you know, you've got so far to go out, you know, the world map is pretty big. It's not as big as what I'd like it to be, but it's pretty big. And when you're only going 13 knots, because I've got to go here, I can't fast travel because I haven't been there yet. It's going to take a while. But if you're playing these sort of games and you want that sort of a simulation thing, then that's kind of cool, because it will be really calming. The music's not terrible, and like I say, you can actually hop on and do the radio as well, which is kind of nice. But I can see me playing this a bit more. I really can. Like, it's a very chill game. I don't know whether I'm going to enjoy it as much as other simulation games, like your ETS2 and stuff. I feel like the functionality and there's not a huge amount of replayability. Like, I don't know how long it's going to actually take me to earn enough to upgrade my ships and pay off my loan and grow my business. I mean, I've already lost 48% health because I ran into that pole earlier. So I can see you being on it for a while, but the pacing of it could be a problem. So I don't know. It's got potential. If they keep adding to it, if they make the area bigger, if they add some more ships, if they add more fish types, if they do all of that, and they work on the quality of life things, then this game could be huge. This game could literally last as long as SCS's ETS as a comparison, which I would really like to see, because there's not enough simulation games out there that do things differently, and this certainly beats just a fishing game. Like building up your business, having your different ships and stuff, having really good water effects, which is really nice, having decent ship models, and having your ferries and stuff come into your ports, and their models as well. They're really good. Like they're really nice ship models. Like that on itself, like you could have ferry simulator, for example. Like they could build on this, and I really hope they do, because I really want to like this game quite a bit. But I can see the tutorial putting off, and that's a problem. They need to work on the controls, make them less finicky, get rid of them goddamn sliders in the options, and they'll have a pretty solid game. There you are, guys. That has been Fishing Simulator, where you've not actually seen any fishing at all. North Atlantic fishing, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you all next time. Ciao, ciao.